What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. My name is Chris, as always with me,
Liam.
And today we are diving into Handmaid's Tale Season 1, or I should say, we're going back in time since many of you have already watched it. But if you're tuning in for the first time with us here at the show, we are a show about shows. We are two guys, just like any break room at, work or anywhere you'd be. We like talking about this stuff. We don't pretend to be experts. Matter of fact, Liam's seen everything. I have not, right? We went into Season 6 blind, did like a kind of two different perspectives things. You guys really loved it. And so asked us to go back to Season 1, and now we're going through it with two different perspectives again, with a little bit more insight since I did see Season 6. So I do have a little bit of like confusion that you guys have seen in the last couple episodes around certain characters and not really showing their true colors yet. But we'll get there. And this episode in particular, whoa, is there a lot to unpack. We've been getting a lot of story laid out to us through the first couple episodes, but this one really had some crazy things happen that we need to unpack, especially the first runaway attempt I've ever seen, the first refusal of a ceremony, or at least a failure of a ceremony, which I'm pretty sure has ramifications in Gilead. Like it's not something you're supposed to not do, right? Like it's a obligation as a commander, right? Not just a privilege in their society, but an obligation. And so we got a lot to unpack, and definitely let us know down in the comments. This has been such a great ride because of you guys. And so really awesome comments, really awesome setting us straight on a lot of different things, and also agreeing with us is always great too. So let's dive in, man. I'm talking a lot.
Fucking creepy doctor too.
Yeah, we got a lot to unpack, man. We got a lot to unpack in this one. Holy crud.
Yeah, definitely was not a fan of his character at all. The doctor felt like he was just taking advantage.
Yeah, just a creepy dude.
Yeah. And wasn't a fan of that. I wanted to bring that up because I almost forgot about him.
Yeah. Well, it's like a nuanced thing in all the creepy, evil that's happening all around you. That feels more like what would be something that I would hear about in today's society, where a doctor takes advantage of a vulnerable woman in a situation like that. It's not full on Gilead, right? So that felt more familiar of a world, I understand, than what we're normally seeing, which is just, a complete upheaval of what we know.
The reason I did bring that up was because you were mentioning Fred and not performing his duties. Yeah. And then that doctor goes ahead and is like, oh, he's probably just sterile like the rest of them.
Yeah. Did he say that because he was trying to give her additional excuses to sleep with him? Or is that a fact in Gilead that the men are the ones that are sterile, it's not the women?
Well, I guess it could be in this case specifically. We can talk to that one because we know all the way in Season 6 that Serena gets pregnant. Yeah,
so I guess the way I'm thinking of it is if these are still being born, but they're much lower rate, some of them are not necessarily healthy, that means that at least some of the men are still fertile. Has to be. But it also means that a great majority of the female population, they're all human, I don't know why I said human, female population is infertile.
Probably because we're used to talk about fantasy stuff, so there's a lot of unraises.
I know, 100%. But yeah, so that to me means that a good majority of the female population would be infertile. Mainly the ones that are in power, which is still, I've talked about that in previous episodes, that makes no sense to me. But anyway.
Probably the hypocrisy is supposed to be layered in there for that reason.
No, this episode is not without its own hypocrisy as well, too. So it's it really is baked into how the Gilead, they operate as the puppet masters. Do what I say, not what I do.
So you want to talk about the whole frickin' escape thing. You were so excited about that.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention, because I was so excited I started talking about it before we even started, and then you were like, you probably should start the episode. Yeah. Are you guys anything like me? When you're watching TV, I mean, no matter what I'm watching, unless it's live in a movie theater, my kids took me to see the new How to Train Your Dragon for Father's Day. Loved it. But I can't pause that. But if I'm home and I can pause something, I pause it if I'm confused. So for example, in this episode, there were two different times where something came onto screen, first time the Latin written down, the name of the episode. And I was like, okay, I need to know what that means to keep moving forward. So I pause the episode, look up what the Latin meaning is, put my phone aside and hit play again. Are you guys like me? Or are you more like Liam, where you trust the process and just ride the episode through? I'm curious.
So the only time I end up looking something up during an episode is if someone I see maybe off-the-wall character, I was like, oh, I know him from something. What is his damn name?
So it's not particularly looking up something to do with the show. You're
Correct.
looking up something to do with the
that show reminded me of.
The actor who's in it.
Yeah.
Right, got it. I've done that too.
Yeah, that's about it for me.
Yeah.
Well, you did.
Well,
You were excited about that beforehand. You're like, this is the first escape attempt.
Well, I have knowledge of season 6, right? So I understand that there's been multiple times where June has stepped up or done something rebellious. And this was the first time I've seen it chronologically that she's done something like that. Now, I was incredibly disappointed in how that all turned out, to be completely honest. But it was cool to see how they did it, like the progression of it, right? Because it doesn't, like, she doesn't have the shiv and then do it. She has the shiv and she's using it to, like, right, Aunt Lydia sucks.
Yeah.
And then the next,
it's a progression.
right. And then the next time you see her, she's got it held to that one aunt's throat, steals her clothes, and they get the escape attempt. Now, my big issue with this, and again, sometimes guys have been following us long enough, I get a little too literal with scenes and I let it go and then we move on, but I got to talk about it. Moira had the confidence and the wherewithal to walk up to a group of eyes and be like, hey, I'm an aunt and I need to know this information. Turns around, sees that her handmaid is caught with another set of eyes who she was just talking to. And instead of walking over and being like, oh, sorry, we got to go, she's with me, she just leaves her there.
Yeah, that scene has not sat with me right.
Okay, I'm not alone. Okay.
No, that didn't sit with me right at all for each time. I thought for sure that Moira could have just walked over and been like, sorry, she's a little stupid right now. Come on, girl. Type stuff to get her out of the situation.
Yeah.
That's what I was expecting her to do the very first time. And even knowing she didn't do it, I expect her to do it again this time.
Yeah.
So I feel you.
All right, I'll let it go. But again, I had to bring it up because that to me is like, what is that? What is that? You guys just stuck together and did some crazy shit to get out of there. And in the last second, you're going to show fear and not do something?
I think it was important, though, because they wanted to show June's self-destructive tendencies for others.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the big pieces we got from that.
It happens because of the plot, not because of common sense. I get that. And then we can move past it now. But no, the escape, I was very curious to see. The punishment very much fits the biblical crime inside of this world, right? You speak out against me, I'll take your eye. You run from me, I whip your feet. So it's like, it's very, well, I guess more literal would be take your tongue. But I guess maybe they need that for the ceremony and some no, they don't. I don't know. Either way, I'm trying to figure out, not really figure out, but make the connection. I'm losing it, so might as well shut up.
That's okay. So the whipping of the feet thing, that is so freaking painful. That's been like an torture method for a very long time. Yeah. And I can't imagine that pain because it just makes me think of something so small and insignificant like stepping on a fucking Lego and imagine how much worse it would be if that Lego had a whole lot of force behind it.
Yeah, no. It's one of those situations that we take for granted, I think, as people who have the ability to just walk around and do what we want. It's not until that's taken away that you realize just how significant something like you're getting your feet sliced open is. Yeah. And also, I'm sure there's a level of pain to that because that tissue on the bottom of your feet is constantly in motion. So it's never not, those cuts are never not moving. Yeah.
Let's see, we've got the whole Scrabble thing again.
Yeah, so before we go to Scrabble, we have the failed ceremony. And that to me was interesting because in my understanding of Gilead, and I've mentioned it previously, it's not just a privilege to be able to create life, it's an obligation for them to create life.
Yes.
And if they don't go through with this ceremony, there could be serious ramifications for everyone involved, but I'm sure everything falls downhill, so it could be much worse for the people on the bottom.
Not to mention, before the ceremony started, things were off because Fred walks in when he wasn't supposed to. June says it in their monologue,
yeah,
look, he just walked in. He's not doing what he'd normally be doing. And that was our first hint that something's off. And he mentioned stuff about his meeting, that things weren't going good in Mexico. So, trade deals.
I think June is very intuitive, right? I guess that's a very human trait to be able to do that in a situation where you have to touch in on that. But she can definitely feel the situation way more than Serena can because she was able to deduce that the thing that's wrong is that for Fred to feel, want to be intimate, let's say, in a very delicate way, he needs to have connection. Right? He can't just show up and perform. He has to feel a connection, which clearly he does not have with Serena anymore. She, very much was trying to console him and comfort him and help him. And he was just disgusted by it, walked out. He was like, don't do that. And so I see Serena just being broken and broken.
I think it was because he was embarrassed.
Was he?
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm sure it would be.
He couldn't get it up.
Yeah, but
Even when he tried to just do it himself. That's why he went to the office. He started to...
right, I get that. But I guess, okay, I didn't perceive that even with her help, it wasn't happening. I thought once she showed up there, because of the way they were like interacting a little bit more intimately, that it was like happening for him, like that connection he's looking for. I guess I was wrong. But yeah, I mean, embarrassment could be a huge, embarrassment, one of the major ways that manifests is anger. And so, that could make a lot of sense. But I'm not trying to humanize him by any means. I'm just trying to figure out, why it failed and where it's going. Because a couple hours later, I'm thinking, he's completely fine playing Scrabble, joking it up. So I took it as Serena is the problem for him.
I could see that. Yeah, remember, they even showed the flashback of something going on and her offering some insight and how quickly he shuts her down. It's like, no, we'll just have so-and-so do that.
Oh, when he says, we've got good men already handling that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like a dig at her being a woman, too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I said, as we go further in the episodes, you're going to see more flashbacks, like the before time, and how integral she is in everything.
Right, yeah. You said that. She's the woman behind the powerful man.
Yeah.
Or behind the powerful man figure.
Yes.
Right.
And so in this, she's just getting slapped down every turn she makes. And you are absolutely right about her being a victim also, but she's also like an enforcer and aggressor.
Yeah. When
she can.
So I love that we had a good conversation about it in the comments, because I was struggling with seeing, is she a villain? Yeah, I get that. But is her motives evil? I struggle with that still. And I know we're going to get there, and that's my biggest thing. But right now, it's just motives matter, right? And so why are they doing the things they're doing? Is it self-preservation? Is it because they get a kick out of it? Is it because they want power? Like, what's the reason they're doing what they're doing? Fred, I don't know yet. And I think they're doing a really good job of making him seem human right now. And then the other shoe will drop, right? So for me, the thing with Serena, again, struggling with seeing the evil, but then, thanks to the comments, the subtle things of cruelty and her piety, the thing that she sits on, that whole religious, I'm better than you thing, and then the cruelty that comes from that, I perceive as evil. And I really appreciate you guys and sharing with all of us your takes on that, because it definitely helped me see the nuances of how evil she really is.
So I am very much looking forward to get to the next episode again. When are we doing the next one?
Thursday.
We'll
drop one Tuesdays and Thursdays, yeah. Now that I'm no longer in need of oral surgery and everything can go back to a normal cadence. So Scrabble for me is an insight into Fred's mind and how Fred wants to operate. And I'm guessing that at this point, he's conflicted with what he wants.
Probably. I still think he's using June as like a surrogate for what he misses with his wife.
Oh, 100%.
That's why he likes the intellectual challenge that she provides and is willing to clearly bend the rules for a lot of things. Like, did you even notice how June hesitated so much on grabbing that book? She's like, is this a fucking trap?
Yeah. And then she noticed the Latin, put it all together, that she wasn't the first one up there, which made me start to put some pieces together.
That's when she was losing her mind, trapped in isolation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, what a great job acting, because, definitely believe that she was, on the verge of a fractured mind, for sure, in that scene, in those scenes.
And then Fred filled in the stuff with the other of Fred, that she had killed herself.
Yes.
Hung herself.
How?
What do you mean how?
They take away everything you have to kill yourself, right?
Well, that's why they take away laces in prison, but
they don't have laces. You can notice in their shoes there's no laces.
I know, but what I'm saying is there's so many different other methods that you can use to do that. She's got her clothes. She could easily make something from that, but they don't give us too much insight onto how she did it, just that she did it.
Yeah.
And June takes advantage of his sentimentality around losing her. And that's why she's like, I'm feeling kind of down. I don't want to go down that path, but if I keep staying in isolation, I'm gonna,
Yeah.
And she does it in such a way where it's like, insulting with how obvious she's being with it, but at the same time, she's pretending to be naive about it. It's so hard for me to figure out how to phrase that, but you know what I'm saying around it.
Yeah. She took a gamble and it worked out in her favor for now. So we'll see what happens with that, because Serena is not one to be crossed and take it lightly. So we'll see. Well, if you guys really enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that like button, and we will see you on one of these videos. Peace.
Find the strength hiding in each battle scar. You're not who you were, you've already come far.